I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
I am an everyday athlete.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jarrett Baston with Mark McCain, and you are listening to Everyday Athlete, a podcast devoted to bringing you the amazing stories behind the lives of day-to-day CrossFit athletes like yourself. And today we don't have a CrossFit athlete. We have a weightlifter. We have a weightlifter, strongman. What else do you do? Everything? I just watched you bench 315 like it was nothing for a couple, like not even. Did you even warm up?
No.
330.
330.
330. Oh, excuse me.
Okay, oh.
Excuse me.
Oh, don't you
Excuse me.
dare.
Excuse me.
Cheat me 15 pounds.
Yeah, 330. Fantastic. That's I think that might be my deadlift. So, but we're here with Sean Brooks. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
I need a applause button. That
Yeah,
would be.
we'll get that. That's our next upgrade.
I've got that little sound thingy downstairs. Oh, that might be a good one. I'll bring that
might
up.
be.
Um,
Flagellants.
Sean, we've known Sean for quite some time now, right?
About 6-7 years.
Yeah, it's been some time. And you came to us when you were still in college, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's kind of start from the beginning. Where are you from? What's your background? You know, we kind of know it, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, just north of it by the airport.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, trust me. Nothing but cornfields. My background, I've pretty much been an athlete my entire life. Started off athletics when I was younger, kind of just figured out in high school, football, wrestling, and track were my go-to. Continued that on in college. I did football, wrestling, and track all through college, and then once I got done, I found CrossFit. I found CrossFit in college, then continued that once I got done, and up till September this year, when I retired from CrossFit.
Yeah.
And this past April, when I really took to weightlifting.
Yeah. And when you say track, we're not talking. You're not doing the 800.
No, I did like the 5K. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You were.
I was the thrower.
Thrower.
Yeah. The shot, disc, hammer, and javelin.
So, because I don't know the whole. I have a visual idea of what the differences are. What are the differences between those things?
The shot is a little cannonball.
Mm-hmm.
The hammer is the cannonball on the wire that you spin with.
Mm-hmm.
The discus is the big metal frisbee,
Mm-hmm.
and then the javelin's like a spear.
What do those weigh?
The shot put's 16. Same with the hammer. The disc is probably close to 5.5, and then the javelin, I'm not 100% sure.
Is it heavy?
No,
it's light.
It's just long and a little awkward.
That seems like it'd be really fun to throw the javelin.
The javelin was probably the most fun.
Yeah.
When you throw it and you just yell Sparta.
Yeah. It probably feels really good.
What how does that work in a track and field event? So like with weightlifting, 3 attempts. Like how does that work in
Same.
Same?
You get 3 attempts. You can foul it out either by stepping over the line, throwing it out of the sector, because you have a certain area you can throw in.
It's kind of shaped like looks like a baseball diamond.
Yep,
Or a
kinda.
baseball field almost, right? That kind of fans out. Yeah.
Some meets have minimum marks, so maybe your first one you make, but you don't hit the minimum distance, and if you don't hit that minimum distance, they don't count them after that.
That's super interesting.
Did you like one more than the other?
Hammer was a lot of fun.
That's one where you kind of spin around, and then that looks like honestly the most technical, just from.
It's the most different.
Yeah.
The shot and the discus, you're spinning on your toes. The hammer, you're back on your heel.
Okay.
And in Ohio, no high school. It was illegal to do hammer in high school up till about maybe a couple years ago. So
Why?
college was my first experience. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
I
I have seen a couple videos that thank God for the internet, right? You're just scrolling through and like, oh, look at this. And saw one the other day where a guy just lets one go and it just goes right into the gut of the ref.
Yep.
I mean, because you're basically you're trying to create as much force as possible in a circular motion, and then you have to time it to let go at the exact right moment, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
In high school, not a lot of coaches have experience with it. Not a lot of facilities have the cage that's correct to use it for.
Right.
So up till just a couple years ago, it was illegal in high school.
I always wondered why they had that cage there, and now I know.
Yeah.
It's for that damn hammer.
To protect someone from getting hit. And it's 16 pounds?
It's 16 pounds.
Yeah, that kills
Yeah.
somebody.
I think it's appropriately said earlier, the cannonball.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Absolutely. That's interesting. So I've watched you wrestle a couple times. So how did you kind of get into wrestling? And because I know it's a passion because you are also currently coaching as well, right?
I am.
So how did that kind of develop through the years?
Well, I was doing basketball up till the 7th grade. Didn't make the team in the 7th grade. Got recruited by his name was Coach Spurk. He actually went to my church. He's like, hey, don't worry about basketball. You should come out and wrestle.
No.
Started wrestling 8th grade and have never looked back. It's probably my favorite sport. I mean, football was fun. Track was more relaxed and fun, but wrestling, it's you on that mat. It's you by yourself. You have to have a good team to help drill you and train you and work with. But wrestling, it's just you. It's individual. You got no one else to blame but yourself. It's the most grueling sport there is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've watched friends in high school. Either the practices are grueling, just hot, sweaty. You're basically in a giant box with no ventilation, and then cutting weight and things like that. You're getting ready for meets and wrestling matches, and it's like you had to that was like the days of Slim Fast. It's like you had to Slim Fast all day. Like that's pretty much it.
I tell you, wrestling helped me. Cutting weight for Olympic lifting is nothing.
Yeah.
I lost the week before Braxton. It was like 10 over on Monday. Wrestling, I was a month. I lost 40 pounds once. I don't recommend doing that.
Yeah, not the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
If you're listening,
Yeah.
we don't recommend.
Yeah, do not do that. It was bad.
Yeah. What weight did you wrestle at?
College, I did 197 was my freshman year. That's why I dropped from 240 then, and then said never again. Was just heavyweight my remainder of my career.
How did you feel after cutting 40 pounds?
I felt like death.
Yeah.
I felt like my hair was falling out, my teeth were rotting.
Wow.
I looked sick.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of stuff did you do? Like, what's the general path for cutting weight for a meet?
Well, it starts after.
Keep it legal.
It starts after that previous Saturday where I would weigh in at 197, and then by Saturday night I had to weigh about 215, 220.
Oh my gosh.
And then it start all over again on Sunday. Running in sweats, eating maybe a can of tuna and an apple, chewing on ice cubes, and being so hungry that for dinner you just went to bed.
Yeah. Man, I
Yeah,
remember Ian. I remember Ian Emmons. If he's probably not listening, but if he's listening, he's talking about cutting weight for weightlifting. He's like, isopropyl alcohol bath. He's like, cut 20 pounds in an hour. It's like, make sure someone's watching because you'll die. It's like,
wow.
That sounds awful.
That
Ian's
sounds
like, dude.
dangerous.
But that was because he was an MMA fighter too, and that was one of the some of those. I know it's a big thing right now in that sport in particular, where those guys dragging guys out on stage barely under their own power, to make weight. That's pretty crazy.
There's definitely a proper and improper way to do it, and
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have the tools to tell you like, hey, this is exactly how to do it. You got a week's time, obviously. I feel like at least in weightlifting, kind of
Generally,
lifting around that weight that you are. There's ways to game it.
Yeah.
If you ever read Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Body, he had some really extreme like dieting things to the point where he found some flaws in some fighting tournaments and would do like some super fasting and then weigh in and be really light and then gain like 20 pounds, 40 pounds. Never even really did the fighting style before, but was just so much bigger than everybody else. He would just like push him out of the circle. And, that's, kind of can work to your advantage, I'm sure, in wrestling because there's like that time. I didn't get a chance to wrestle, but I had a lot of friends. My high school I went to was very high level wrestling. They produced a lot of state qualifiers, champions, so on and so forth. And I would see those guys just running with garbage bags on nonstop. I mean, they would have the heat on full blast and they're wrestling. I just had so much respect for them. I played football with a lot of them. And I feel like generally when wrestlers do come into CrossFit, I mean, I think they have that advantage, man. They have that mindset of just like, I'm going to do whatever needs to be done to get this, accomplished.
Yeah.
That quickly went away after I finished wrestling.
Oh, really?
I was like, why am I doing this some days?
Yeah.
I don't need to kill
Right,
myself
okay,
anymore.
fair enough.
Yeah. It's kind of like they interviewed Mike Tyson, like the years after his, he's done boxing. It's like, I have anxiety stepping into a gym from how much, he pushed himself then. It's like, I don't ever want to do that again.
Right.
So, so that's went from wrestling, and then moved on to so you were doing wrestling and you got into CrossFit, right? How'd you kind of find CrossFit?
My dentist back home.
Yeah.
He owned the gym, the box I went to. He owned CrossFit Heights up in Huber Heights, Ohio. Stopped by in the summer, and he's like, "You should stop by. You do a lot of lifting, right?" Yeah. He goes, "Stop on by." I can still tell you the first workout I did.
It's like everybody's got that first one that it may not be their first workout, but the first one that you remember.
Oh, it was the first
It
one.
was the very first one?
It was the very first one.
Yeah.
It was like dips and wall balls and sumo deadlift high pull and box jumps. It's like 10 rounds.
You're too big for that, Sean.
I was about 250, out of shape, and I remember talking trash to him. I'm like, all right, you want me to wait for you when I'm done? He finished. I'm on like round 4 of 10.
Yeah.
Ready to vomit. Couldn't walk the next 2 days. Didn't go back that summer. Came back the next year and then started doing CrossFit.
I took
So the
a
dude was
sabbatical for a year.
The dude was a dentist?
He's a dentist.
And he owned the CrossFit gym?
Yes.
Huh, that's a first.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, and that I
He
feel
was,
like
he was partial owner.
Yeah,
he
I would
and like 3
imagine.
other people.
It's like, when's your gym open? It's 9 o'clock at night till midnight.
yeah. It was the only time I have free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Mark. Do you remember your first one?
Yeah. Oh man, I think I feel like I've spoke to it a little bit. I know it involved, we were at the place where we started and we'd run around the building. It was probably about 200 meters. There was another movement. It might have been like some type of lunge with a plate and then knees to elbows. That was like, whoa, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And, again, and I'm going there and trying to be competitive and macho man or whatever. And I'm burning it. Obviously, I had no clue about pacing. So as soon as I finished,
5 rounds, sprint.
and it was the middle of summer, just humidity and sweat and so on and so forth, and dehydration and improper nutrition, all that stuff. And once I got done, I just collapsed, and I felt like I had to lay down for about 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was done.
Yeah.
It was awful.
One of the first ones I really remember was Fight Gone Bad.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever done Fight Gone Bad. Fight Gone Bad's that was made for BJ Penn,
Right.
I believe, and it's made to mimic what an MMA fight feels like. So it's 3 5-minute rounds with a 1-minute rest. So much like your MMA fights. And man, that was the first time I ever experienced what most people know as Fran lung, and it lasted like 3 days. I'm pretty sure I gave myself a respiratory infection from coughing. But it was just one of those things. But kind of like you said, like, I'm sure if you look at that and you don't expect that you're going to feel that way afterwards. I literally just finished up our fundamentals the other day with one of our new kids. And the last workout is 15, 12, 9, clean and jerk and burpees. And legitimately said, that's it. And it's famous last words every time, and it, but you're like, yeah, that's it. I think he got to 11 on 15 and looked at me and went, oh no.
I wish I could go back to the day where I look at a workout and be like, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt.
It just comes with experience.
Well, and to the people that are listening and they're like, why would I ever do CrossFit after listening to that story?
Yeah.
That's our first original data point, and as a community and fitness methodology, we've come a long way. So to that point, I had no fundamental program. I was just thrown right in.
Yeah. Showed up on day one, said, all right, go ahead.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. Just you don't know what you don't know. Just like football. I mean, we were running those drills where you're just one-on-one, let's go. Boom, hit it. And now they're like, oh, wait, this might be bad for our brain.
Yeah.
So it's just like any other, we're not smashing it, but just with that said, that was our original data point for me personally. And, you know, fast forward 8 years later, it's been really an awesome experience to be able to do a ton of different things now through CrossFit. Obviously, Sean's found a love for weightlifting, Jared as well, and I just like working out in general. So it's been a lot of fun. But maybe talk a little bit about your football journey as well. What position you played and how was that?
I played every position on the defensive line in college.
Oh, wow.
In high school, I was both ways, offensive line, punt, and then defensive line. The only thing I actually sat out was punt return and kickoffs. Went to the Mount St. Joseph.
It's good school.
Loved it there. Loved every bit of it. Got my
How-
master's degree there.
How difficult
Awesome.
is it being a 3-sport athlete?
As long as you prioritize your life. I didn't drink. I still hardly ever.
Yeah.
So I didn't drink till I was 21, which is not normal usually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it really isn't, unfortunately. But so when you talk about, because that's something that sets you up for your whole life, is learning early how to prioritize things. You know, because most people don't think of it as prioritizing. And how does that bleed into your daily life and just work and obviously what you put into the gym and things like that?
I mean, I know what's important now. I know my job. I work for the YMCA. I know that's hopefully, possibly my future. I know that's probably more important. So I've told that when coaching Harrison wrestling now, like, Coach, I love to do this. I want to do this every day, but the Y will take priority over this anytime. And he completely understood that. He knows exactly where I'm coming from. And then training comes, and then if I have time, social hours, but I'm working a lot, and I need my rest. And
you're one of the hardest working people I've seen. You know, I'll get Snapchats from Sean. It'll be 9:30 at night, and he's squatting somewhere, because that's the time that you can do it, right? I mean, it's not like, you know, Sean put it off all day. It's nope, I'm busy all day, and then this is the time that I can finally work out. So we got through your sports. We went through your college football, and then so we're starting to transition to CrossFit, and then we get out of college, right? Mm-hmm. So how long did you do CrossFit for?
I started with that CrossFit Covington in 2011 with you guys.
The second location?
The first one.
First one.
Yeah. Then the
OG.
The OG. I think it's a storage facility now for that company that was next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they did much to it. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, graduated, was doing CrossFit with you guys all through college. So I didn't move back home my junior or senior year. Stayed in the dorms all winter, all summer. So I would come see you guys in my off seasons all the time, or if I had time after wrestling practice, I'd come down. So that was 2011, 2012, 13. Graduated in 14. Moved up to Mason. Unfortunately, left you guys, and by that point, you guys were in New Cov. You guys or
probably, yeah, because you went and started going to Cornerstone.
Yeah,
right?
I started going to Cornerstone in 2014.
Right. Yeah, and then you moved back down here. Is that correct?
Just this last February.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff in between. What did you find that being a 3-sport athlete? Because you were done with track and field and wrestling. Do you see a carryover between what you learned in those sports into CrossFit and maybe vice versa?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Like what kind of, so you look at the hammer throw, you look at, there's just massive hip extension, you know, like that is something that we try and push all the time here. This is the core of basically all the strength that we have, right? So if you can learn how to use, it's the all in the hips. Yeah. If you can learn to use your hips correctly, I think it is massively advantageous.
Wrestling, probably more than anything else, coming from in the down position on the bottom, just popping up, exploding from the bottom, getting your hips out.
Yeah.
Transitions so well into leg lifting. Everything's my hip, everything's exploding right here. That's where all my power is coming from. I'd like to pride myself on not many people in college could hold me down when I started in the bottom, and now not much weight's going to stay on the ground, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's something that you know, we talk about sport specific things, and you have a broad strength program like CrossFit. You know, how does that really replicate into your everyday life? And I think there's no other, you know, truer test than if you are actually playing a sport and seeing that return. You know, just on a personal level, just even recreational soccer. I'm probably faster now than I was at whatever my peak was playing soccer. Granted, I was younger and probably not fully developed, but at the same time, there's something about when you're running, if your hamstrings and glutes are stronger, you're probably going to be a faster person, And that's a huge, I think, plus for when you see these single sport athletes and you put all your eggs in one basket, and probably see a lot more injuries, right? And then, someone like yourself, 3-sport athlete, you might be doing more, but you're widening your variety, which is going to make you better overall. I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, I've never really, understood. I don't know if it's like a new kind of school of thought or whatever. I see a lot of kids these days just playing one sport. I know a lot of people are getting turned off by football with the concussions and so on and so forth, and that's, understandable. But whenever I played 3 sports growing up my whole life as well, and I just felt just having that diversity, if I would have just been in one kind of plane of motion, if you will, all the time, I don't feel like I would have been as good in all 3 kind of endeavors. And again, I still respect it if you're just playing one sport. I kind of get that, but at least initially, just kind of sprinkling in, whether it's basketball or soccer or football or baseball or whatever it may be, gymnastics, whatever it is. Wrestling, it's just good for an overall athleticism.
At a minimum, find something you like to do.
Right. That's at first, like when you're pigeonholing yourself, it's like, well, I want him to be this, or I want her to be this.
Yeah. There's a whole other level of your parents living out their dreams vicariously through.
Or even if your son is telling you or daughter's telling you, like, I just want to do this. Well, hey, let's at least try. Again, I don't have kids of my own. I've got 3 nieces or 4 nieces and a nephew, and I know they've been trying a bunch of different things from dance to music to everything, and it's pretty awesome to see that kind of early development. But kind of like you, it's really impressive. I think honestly you're the first person I've ever met that's done 3 sports in college. I know I did one for a year, and that was like a full-time job. It was tough. So much respect to you, sir.
Thank you.
Did those overlap the seasons?
They did for a little bit.
Yeah.
Football went probably a month into wrestling. Wrestling overtook all of indoor track, and wrestling almost ended right when track was about to start. So,
yeah. I not discounting track, but I feel like the conditioning would be less intense than something like wrestling and football.
I never conditioned in track.
Yeah. Basically, just practice throwing
What's
it.
that?
Pretty much, yeah.
What kind of strength program did they have you do for those sports? I mean, was it just traditional squat, deadlift, bench for?
More or less, yeah. I never barbell bench these days. I use more dumbbells, get the better range of motion, more individualized on each arm. Our strength programming in college changed a lot over the years. From freshman to junior to senior, it was never the same. Yeah. It was different every year.
Well, it's good. It's good to have that variety. Absolutely. So how'd you get involved with the Y?
I was very fortunate. I was at a point in my life last year, that last February. I left the real estate job I was working, found a job working at a country club, working 60, 70 hours a week for $550 a week. Having a rough time, but I knew kind of the country club had, the golf course, the pool, it had indoor soccer and all kinds of stuff going. I knew that the experience I was gaining from the country club was going to help transition in something better. Just looking for jobs one day, and the YMCA popped up, and kind of compared the YMCA's core beliefs, core values with my own core values, and they kind of matched up pretty well. Interviewed, and I'd like to think I knocked it out of the park because I got the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you say you're fortunate, and that's you're humble and you have humility, and that's probably one of the reasons why you got the job, right? And we see that. I think we see that a lot when people. I was very fortunate, and what it really is you have a fantastic work ethic. You are genuine, and I think it's one of those things that those small things that we talk about prioritizing in school and sports and things like that. It shines through in when you talk to you, whenever someone has a conversation. And that's not just you, it's anyone that comes through and said, oh, I'm just really lucky. Well, you're probably busting your ass on a regular basis, and the planet's finally aligned for you to but
you bust your ass for 10 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's the old adage.
But
right?
I want to back up one thing you said that really stuck out to me, which I thought was awesome, was you said you had a value system. You care to share that? You don't have to like recite it or anything, but some things that maybe you hold to just be true when you're looking, like you said, you're analyzing a company. That was something. Whenever I was looking for jobs out of college, I didn't. I wasn't signing up to work at a place that was doing shady stuff, at least on the surface. But at the same time, I wasn't like, well, what's their core values? So I really respect that.
Yeah, they're the core values of the Y. They have 3 pillars. It's social responsibility, healthy living, and youth development. All fun stuff. I'm coaching. I love living a healthy lifestyle, working out all the time. Love to help any way I possibly can. Like the YMCA does their annual sport, where we do a lot of fundraising to raise money to give back in scholarships for people who can't afford to go to the Y. Yeah. So last year I got pied in the face. I cut my hair and beard. I miss it so bad. That was all for the money to raise for the Y. And then their core values are like caring, respect, responsibility, honesty, and that
basically Sean's personality.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think if they knew what they were getting when it comes to the dad jokes on a daily basis, they would have been like, let's go with the other guy.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll take a break in a second, but I want to tell a story. I want you to tell a story real quick of your shaving the hair and beard, because I know it was part of that fundraiser, right? And someone stepped up pretty much instantly.
It was my grandmother. We were getting to the last little bit of the annual support, and we're still a good couple thousand away. So I'm like, all right. So I call my grandmother up. I'm like, all right, Grandma, here we are. We're at the end of it, and I told you I'd give you a call if we needed a little help. Let me put a bounty on my hair and beard. She's like, oh, how much? I was like, let's say this much. And she's like, oh, man, Sean, that's a lot of money. I don't know if we're gonna be able to raise that. I'll tell you what. If we can raise that, can you do me the favor? Can you promise not to grow it back until August of 2018 for our anniversary? I was like, that is a lot of money I just put that out for. All right. Yeah, Grandma, I can do that. And I heard her like, all right, great. And I heard her like starting to write the check. She goes, all right, you got it. No problem.
Got him.
The day the Viking died.
That's awesome.
Should have asked for more.
Yeah.
Always.
That's awesome. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about how Sean got into weightlifting and the strongest human on earth. CrossFit is demanding both physically and mentally. Setting goals are the foundation to push your athletic ability, and the hour we have together a day may not always be in line with those personal milestones you've set for yourself. Triumph Performance is based around just that, your goals. Together, in a one-on-one setting with your coach, we will set manageable and timely goals. Your program, unique to your needs, will accelerate the path to your target. Most have an idea of where they may want to go, but together with your Triumph Performance coach, we will assess your fitness level, develop a custom fitness plan, and keep you on track to successfully complete your goal. For more information, please contact a coach or email info@triumphstrength.net. And we are back here. We are with Sean Brooks on Everyday Athlete. We were finished just talking about kind of his journey, and where we last left off was with him kind of finishing up. Well, I should say finishing up. You were still doing CrossFit at the time, but you started to transition to a little bit of strongman as well, correct? Mm-hmm. And then how? I think you're probably found that a little more interesting than doing burpees.
Strongman was so much more fun.
Yeah.
I hate cardio. I hate everything about it.
Yeah.
I'm asthmatic.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't mix well.
Yeah.
But strongman is so unorthodox. Just some of the movements are different, like carrying like the Hassafel, just this big tombstone looking thing, or doing the stones. Stones are fun, or the log press. It's just something different, it's awkward movements, but I mean, some of these guys are incredibly athletic.
Awkward, but still functional.
Yes.
Yeah. If you are carrying something from point A to point B,
that's
it's
about as
about
functional
as functional as it gets. Yeah.
Right.
Go move that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
What was a favorite movement?
I was really good at the log.
Yeah.
Like first day trying it, I hit 300 pounds on it.
So for those who don't know what the log is, kind of describe that.
The log is basically a clean and jerk, except it's probably a foot in diameter.
Yeah.
Does it have handles on it?
It does have handles right in the middle.
Right.
So basically,
But
deadlift
it's
it
not.
up.
But it's not. They're not
No, they run
parallel like a
They
bar.
run north south.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more unique. It's not as your bar path isn't so straight. It's more rounded
Right.
because there's so much more of it to go.
Right. But again, when it comes down to it, like you said, it is a clean and jerk.
Yeah,
You're
basically
extending,
clean and jerk.
You're using his hips.
extending the hips, and then you're driving under. And then it's usually, is it just more like a push press, right? Dip off the chest and
It's however you want to get it up.
Yeah.
I mean, some people will straight strict press it, like you get the Brian Shaws and the
Oh my God.
Zydrunas, Civicus. They just push press it
Have
like
you-
500 pounds.
Have you seen Brian Shaw's like his
Grip challenges?
His grip challenges for the month? Have you seen those?
I don't think I've seen those.
He the other one the other day was a 60-pound dumbbell, and he picked it up by the head, and you had to toss it in the air and catch it with your opposite hand before it hit the ground.
He's superhuman, man.
His
And then-
hand's the size of this table.
I did see him on a rower
be
like
so
break the world
inconvenient.
record for a 100-meter row. It was insane. He had like 4 people holding the rower down.
Oh my gosh, that's the other one I saw. Probably more impressive than that was the he had a 45-pound plate with 3 5-pound plates on the outside balancing on it, and you had to pick it up by the center hub.
Just
And
to
lift it up.
to his waist. That's all I had to do.
Wow.
He's
And
up.
he just goes,
Oh my goodness.
He put the challenge out there. Anyone that can do that, he'll buy a steak dinner for.
Wow.
"This is pretty incredible." So if you guys haven't seen that, check
unreal.
out Brian Shaw. It's pretty awesome. You showed up for a weightlifting meet.
Yep. So at this point in my career, I'm like, I really wasn't thinking about what I was going to do. I actually have a little hand booklet. I write some notes in
Yeah.
during the day. And the first page was CrossFit, powerlifting, strongman, Olympic lifting on it. Like, what should I do? Like, where's my career, my path going? And I had pros and cons on all of them. I'm already trying to get my weight down. I think I did the Earth Movers meet. I weighed about 223, the lightest I've weighed in years, healthy.
Yeah. No, a 197 was the lightest in years, but non-healthy.
That was the first time since the 6th grade I'd weighed under 200 pounds.
Wow.
What? What did you just say?
I weighed 200 pounds in the 6th grade.
Oh my goodness. I've been trying to weigh like 210 for the last 10 years.
For those of you guys just listening, Mark was like deathly ill for 3 days, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he went down to like 160.
Yeah.
Mark's
I'm
metabolism-
withering away.
Mark's metabolism has no throttle.
Yeah.
It is literally just
I have
go,
to
go, go.
consume all things.
Yeah.
Like a hummingbird. Just
Pretty
Anyways,
much.
so you're trying to prioritize your training, and I liked what you said about that. Basically, your athletic career, right? When most people think about that, like, well, I'm never going to be the best, and I don't think that you're trying out there to go beat Brian Shaw in strongman, but you're going to have a career in basically an athletic endeavor. Right.
I enjoy competing. I just giving up competing in anything was not an option.
Right.
So when the Earth Movers came, I was like I was a little lukewarm on the weightlifting part. The triumph total at the end, I was all for.
Yeah. Again, we had that 2-part. So we had an Olympic weightlifting meet. We had about an hour break, and then we had basically kind of stealing a little idea from the Klokoff Power Weekend, where they did like max jerk off the rack, max snatch with straps. Like, these guys are breaking world records, like, but they don't count for anything because they're using straps and it's not a sanctioned meet or anything. But taking a note from that, we did that. What was it? It was max power clean, max
Thruster.
max thruster, and then max deadlift. Yeah. So Sean kind of jumped in, and he showed up for the meet, and so kind of a little background on how Olympic weightlifting goes. Unlike a wrestling, you weigh in the day before. How does that work?
No, you weigh 2 hours before.
2 hours.
tournament,
Okay, so
yeah.
that's the same then. So you weigh in 2 hours later, you go lift. But when you weigh in, you come in, you give your give the person taking the weigh-ins, you give them your USAW card, you write down the number, get your entry totals. And so we weigh Sean in, and he goes, oh, wow, that's a good weight. And all right, Sean, give me your USW card and write down your number. I never got one of those. I'll just, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. I don't have to, this won't count for me or anything. And I'm like, well, Sean, the whole meet doesn't count if you partake. So Sean proceeds to get on his phone and purchase a USAW membership on the spot. So very first weightlifting meet on the spot. And then smash cut to 6 lifts later, and Sean has now qualified for the American Open. So that, for those of you who don't know what that is essentially like if I went to a NASCAR race and jumped in a car and won. Like that's like just without any prior experience on the platform or anything like that. It is an amazing feat of strength, let alone concentration and just pure grit, I guess is the best way to put it. So pretty amazing to watch. And from there, we've been training towards a new goal, right?
From that day, I was like, all right,
this is what we're doing.
Yeah, this kind of answered my question that I was trying to ask. And
yeah. So what has been the draw for you with Olympic weightlifting? So there's some similarities. You've snatched before, you've clean jerked, and there are some carryovers from things like strongman. But what has been the biggest adjustment for you on that?
And just
in basically switching sports and focusing on one thing now.
For the first bit, I felt rough. I mean, doing weightlifting with CrossFit every day is, you're doing maybe 135 clean and jerks, maybe 225 deadlift. When you're hitting percentages on Olympic lifting, it's whatever 70% of my clean and jerk is, which is a good little bit sometimes. And
yeah, let's so we'll just go in pounds because people aren't going to do the math in kilos. What is your current max snatch?
Non-competitive is 308.
308 pounds. So just imagine putting that over your head, everyone. Just think about that right now. And then clean and jerk?
Competitive was 370. It was probably I had a 380 clean, but 370 is my best competitive.
370 pound clean and jerk. So
do 70% of that.
Yeah. So yeah, when he's talking about these percentages, and this is a pretty big adjustment for a lot of people. We have our barbell fundamentals going on right now, and everyone that's in it has been. And this follows true with people who started doing barbell club as well. The sheer volume of those percentages, when you're not used to it, it's soul crushing.
It started off 3 days, and just everything was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a lot of weight on me all the time. And then we moved to 5 days, and they got rough again. And now I'm finally getting to the point where it's feeling
your body is handling the load.
It's
right?
much more comfortable now.
What's max back squat?
I've hit 490, and that was a few months ago. So weight's moving much better. So I'm hoping well over 5 right now.
That's pretty amazing. Sean had some weight on the bar the other day, and I'm pretty sure you're doing front squats with it, and I unracked it. And it felt like I was going to crumple. And it was a percentage for Sean. So incredibly, incredibly strong. And again, just almost an unimaginable feat where you just kind of on a whim do a weightlifting meet and qualify for essentially the second highest. So there's basically the Open, and then there's Nationals. So Nationals is the only other thing above this. So it's pretty amazing feat, Sean.
When's the Open?
Yeah, when's the Open, Sean?
The Open is December 6th through the 10th.
Yep.
We leave on the 5th. And thank you to everyone who bought a T-shirt and helped me on the GoFundMe.
I have a huge box downstairs that I have to mail out. So I don't know if they're family members or who they are. Sean, I'll have you look through them, Sean, and because I'm shipping stuff down to Florida. I'm shipping stuff to North Carolina. I'm shipping shirts to Pennsylvania. So people bought stuff pretty much all over the place.
California.
Oh yeah, well. Eric Taylor out in California.
Oh really?
So yeah.
Well, thanks, Eric.
Yeah. So
I've been again incredibly blessed with the amount of support around.
It's humbling, right?
It's incredibly.
It's a good community. I mean, anytime I feel like we rally around anything. I know we did it for Lavetta. Obviously, any other situation we've had kind of come up here.
We've had joyous and not so joyous
Yeah,
events where people we're going to have a rally
Right,
around.
Sure.
And it just speaks to, and again, it speaks to your personality. I don't think people would go out and spend money on someone to support someone if they didn't believe in what
Right.
you're doing. So again, that just speaks to that value system you were talking about earlier.
So you got to go out there and crush it, or what, man?
I'm just trying to be
No,
Matty
I hear
Rogers.
you, man.
Trying to meet Matty Rogers.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Got to have goals.
Got to have goals.
How'd it
Like,
go?
yeah.
Well, the list.
I went
yeah.
1 for 6, but check out this photo.
She shook my hand, guys.
Sean, your hand is black. You haven't washed it. But on top of all of that, what's even crazier is when we looked at that start list, and then you are an amazingly strong person, and then to see people who are totaling 120 more kilos,
Yeah. Wow.
it is
really.
mind-boggling to
Yeah.
see that much, and it speaks to American weightlifting in general. It's even like 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I could qualify for the American Open. Since then, that entry total has jumped up over 60 kilos, and that's just sheer people finding the sport. We've always had the strength. You know, they talk about the United States being behind, and it's mainly because we're a clean country. We actually test our athletes and things like that.
Other countries aren't clean.
Yeah,
What?
weird.
I would say that, and that lifting in the Olympics isn't maybe the priority in our country. I mean,
Absolutely
for sure.
not.
We've got the NFL players who could probably clean and jerk 500 pounds
Yeah.
just doing football.
Who was it? The video where he's basically doing jumping jacks with 315.
I think it was DeMarcus Ware. There's
And-
also James Harrison of the Steelers has got a video cleaning
Just-
315 from the hang, like no big
They're
deal.
he's basically, you know, and it's
And it's no technique.
he's
it's-
everywhere.
yeah,
He's all
yeah.
over the place. But and everyone's kind of
You can
talking
say what
trash
you
on
want,
him.
but it's
but
strong, man.
It's 315 pounds.
He's almost 40 years old too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
He-
So that to that point, you're absolutely right. The priority is not on it, unlike other countries where they're being bred basically from age 8 and up. But you look at someone like C.J. Cummings. I mean, that kid is 17 years old, and he lifts.
he lifts a lot more than I do.
Yeah, and he is my weight class. He's
Not a big dude.
it's unbelievable.
Him and the other guy, the Harrison, the kid.
Morris Harrison.
Yeah.
That dude's a monster.
He's
He's maybe 18 now.
second on the total list. When I was looking at the start list, he's second on the total list for at the American Open for 77s. It's unbelievable, and these guys they look like kind of just like string beans,
Yeah.
you know.
But again, it goes back to that technique and just mechanics and biomechanics and levers and training, like you said, and getting that volume up.
Being comfortable under the weight, really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Not to mention,
after
you get Pierce Demas is now the USA lifters of, from a recent time anyway, and he is now the United States coach. You get someone like that, of that caliber, coaching. It's definitely going to improve your core
No,
group
I'm
people.
excited. I think I think in the next 10 years or so, you can see a potential, podium for sure.
Yeah.
From an American.
Well, especially as
on the male side, I know we had female.
As you're cleaning
year.
up the sport too, the problem right now is they're taking medals away from people who were, 2008 Olympics.
Well, yeah. I mean, what was it? Was the Olympics last year? No, year before. 16.
16.
The big guys, they weren't even there. Kolkloff wasn't there.
Yeah.
Ilya
Yeah.
wasn't there.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys are either getting stripped. They took away Ilya's 242 clean and jerk,
Which was amazing.
which was
Yeah.
amazing. It's an amazing feat of strength. But if you have a set of rules and you're taking a banned
Sure,
substance,
sure.
And there was a documentary on that. Speaking back your past of wrestling, the problem right now is the drugs that they're testing for aren't going to show up until they know what they are. So that's why they'll retest these things every 2 years or whatever it is. So the story was this guy basically, he's like, as a professional wrestler, he's like, all of my money comes from sponsorships. Well, he's like, I came basically, this guy beat me. He got the gold medal. I got silver. And all my sponsorships went away. That guy got popped. I got a gold medal in the Atlanta airport. They just showed up and said, here you go. Well, that guy now owes me about $55,000 because he took a banned substance.
Sure.
You know, to think of it like that. But that, again, to the American drug testing, I know for a fact that Jared Fleming talked about it, you know, where these guys are, you have to give them your travel schedule. This is all Olympic sports in the United States. You have to give them your travel schedule for the upcoming 12 months, and you have 48 hours to report if you are if they come for a drug test. So, like, I think the one story was I think it was Jared Fleming, but he was out and about and basically took a weekend trip, and they showed up, and he wasn't on the travel schedule, so he was like in Colorado, and he lives in like Georgia or something, and had to go back like to basically take a drug test, or he's banned. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. What's your plan, Sean, man? Whenever you go out there, obviously, you know, you've already experienced some success. You've won both of our meets. You're extremely strong, humble guy. Got to be around a lot of good athletes. Is it more of like, hey man, I'm coming out here. Obviously, I'm gonna lift what I can lift. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna, you know, maybe shake some hands. But you know, for me, I just look at it as a great opportunity, man. I'm so glad you get to do it, and just like to really build upon. You know,
It's going to be an experience that I'm never going to forget. I'm hoping this is just the start. I don't want the American Open to be a one and done.
sure,
I'd like to compete in it for years to come.
sure.
I'd like to keep at it. Hopefully this is getting out there, seeing some weight getting thrown around, seeing some of these athletes my age, my weight class, just destroying it, and really, I mean, you light that fire even more.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's going to be quite the experience for sure. And I would definitely say for you, just take it all in. And when it comes down to it, it's just another meet, you know.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think for you is feeding off that internal energy. You know, you are very extroverted, and being able to internalize a lot of that energy is going to be a big key for you. So
It's not always easy.
I know it's gonna be a little bit different. You know, both of your big lifts, I think, you know, you got the crowd cheering and everything like that, and you feed off that. That's the crazy thing about the sport of Olympic weightlifting, is it's you in a bar.
Right.
You know,
And
there's
the bar never lies.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
There's some wonderful things about CrossFit, and you feed off that energy, and adrenaline kicks in. But when the adrenaline kicks in on your first lift and you got 5 more to go,
Yeah, you can't
it's tough.
spend it all.
It's tough.
But yeah, I definitely, like I said, I'm super proud of you, man. And I know just by listening to you briefly here, and obviously getting to know you over the years, that you will go out there with that kind of student almost mentality of like, hey, you know, like this is the first step. That was awesome to hear you say that. And just, you know, seeing these guys warming up to building up, you know, seeing that, because there's going to be professionals there. I mean, you know, literally professional lifters that have been doing this, you know, since they were, you know, before age 10, you know, and if you know, CJ and some of those guys are going to be there, I'm sure people that I'm not thinking of at the moment as well. But anyway, and just see these professional coaches. That's why it's awesome that Jarrett and Derek are getting to go too, and just that we can step up our program for awesome athletes like yourself, and then attract maybe even more to come here and lift some weights, you know, a little more competitively in the barbell club. And regardless, I mean, I think it's just a good group that you guys have going on down there daily now, 5 days a week.
5 days a week barbell.
So it's been awesome to see, honestly, in that just little development. We definitely didn't think it would get this big this fast, and it's been really cool to watch.
I mean, that talks to you guys. I mean, the programming is fantastic. The coaching is great. The community's great. I mean, I drive an hour round trip every time to come see you guys and be down here, but I love it
We
down
appreciate
here.
it.
You guys are great and take care of me and been fantastic to me. And
I do nothing. It's mostly Jarrett and Derek, but
It's a group effort.
I'm here.
I'm just guessing
You know.
what we're doing. No.
No, they seriously do put a lot of time in it. Shameless plug for those guys. To the point where we've had a lot of people asking about it, and it's just it's cool because like people are looking for a different outlet of fitness, and Olympic lifting is obviously pretty amazing in a lot of different regards. And now that we have an actual fundamental program to put people through, they can do it safely and adjust, and then who knows, when we get some of these younger kids in here, they see someone like Sean, like, oh man, that's possible.
Sean just signed a shirt.
Just where Sean,
Autographed one.
just where Sean's gonna go out here to Anaheim and maybe even see some things that are it's CrossFit 930. You never know what you're gonna get down there.
Yeah.
The bar will, your ceiling will even be raised even more, because it's like one of those things whenever you go to that first, I don't know, you were a soccer guy, whenever you see that first like professional soccer match or professional football, you're like, whoa, those guys are that big and they can move that fast. And that's how I see it with the weightlifting. It might not be as in the sense of that guy's really big and he can lift, like, no, again, using CJ Cummings, he's a small guy, but man, he is just so
The
fast.
athleticism.
Yeah, his athleticism. But I guarantee, just watching that guy warm up, you can pick up 4 things.
Yeah.
Just like, oh wow, I never thought of that.
They literally just videotape. They'll go to Worlds and just put cameras in the warm up area and just watch these guys warm up for 40 minutes. And the flexibility that someone that can move that much weight and they're doubled over in basically a seated position, like with their head between their ankles almost. It's unbelievable to watch.
That's what Kendrick Ferris always used to amaze me when he would catch some of those snatches with like butt on the ground. It was nuts.
Absolutely.
I don't know how he did the drop jerk.
Oh yeah, that too.
That is.
Yeah.
That guy from China does that.
There's that is actually when you read a lot of the again as the sport evolves, a lot of people are directing themselves to the squat jerk, mainly because if you can catch that weight and you're already snatching it for the most part. I mean, a lot of those people, obviously clean jerk's heavier, but most people are saying it's a better position to catch in for them. It's just a matter of obviously flexibility. Something that I struggle. I struggle with that movement a lot.
My squat jerk would be like 35 pounds.
Yeah, right, exactly. I have to go real wide with the hands, but anyways, I can't wait to see Sean up on that stage. Representing himself, representing Triumph Barbell. It's going to be pretty amazing to watch. And we watched Derek here at the American Open Series, which is kind of like that one step down from the American Open, but still nonetheless a national stage. And we probably had 35 people watching him in the class. I suspect it'll probably be exactly the same because they'll live stream it, they'll show it, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that's. And we will have our weightlifting meet in January. I think we're gonna call it the Winter Fluff, maybe. If everyone gets oops, I went up a weight class weightlifting meet.
Meet 105.
So that'll be in January. So if you are interested, you guys can join us for that. And I always want to end with one question for you, sir, and that is, what is your definition of fitness?
That's a great question.
All these you listened to. You should have been ready for this one. Most people study for it.
I did not. Definition of fitness is being able to, kind of live your life day to day, not have to worry about being injured, not worrying about waking up. I mean, I wake up feeling 80 years old sometimes, but being able to do what you want to do, being able to, I kind of wanted to try to go for a hike. I want to go for rock climbing. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go whitewater rafting, and not being limited to that. Just being able to live your life however you want to whatever capacity you want to be.
Fantastic.
Without restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful answer. Thank you all for listening to Everyday Athlete. Join us next week as we dive deep into the lives of those who make us great. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.